to me, the best way to get out of something is realize you're not in it.
How would you go about doing that?
To me, it's entertaining a possibility. I think you can learn about what you're not here. You can't learn about what you are because you are it already. You don't need to learn about it. But you can definitely learn about what you're not. And in telling the truth about what I'm not, there are free samples of living from what you are, unadorned with the idea of what you're not. Yeah? So I go for just telling the truth about what you're not. And then when you do, all the truth distills into one statement, and it's not a statement, it's like a unspoken yes in your gut. That is, I'm not that. And
right.
There you are.
Right. This is sort of your story that I've seen you tell on film, which I also believe was probably originally attributed to Papaji, of the lion and the sheep.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I just changed it a little bit.
Yeah, it's good. I loved it. Maybe you'd share it with our people.
The lion and the sheep is an old story, and so there's a young lion, and I probably screwed it up a little bit, but this is how I tell it. There's a young lion and a mother, and the mother dies, and so the young lion gets abandoned, and it's in a field, and then doesn't know what to do. It's not doing well. It doesn't know how to capture anything to eat. And then a herd of sheep come by, and it tries to glom on to the sheep herd. Now the sheep are a little nervous because they recognize it as a lion, but the lion has no idea what it is, or not a strong one at least. And so it starts living with the sheep, and it starts chewing cud, and sitting around talking about who's going to be the next sweater and all this stuff, and getting into the world of sheepness. And, it feels a little irritable, restless, and disquiet, but it just tries to avoid it, distract itself from it, And it running around. And then one day an old lion comes charging down into the meadow looking for food, and it sees the herd of sheep, and it starts chasing the herd of sheep. Then it sees a young lion out of the side of its eye, and it goes, well, that young lion's joining the hunt. But then it realizes the young lion's running with the sheep. Mm-hmm. So it veers off to the young lion and grabs it, and then the young lion rolls over on its back and says, please, please, Mr. Lion, don't kill me, I'm just a helpless sheep. And it's like that. The old lion's a little perplexed, so he grabs the young lion and he drags him to this pond of water. He doesn't say anything, he just sticks both their heads over to water, and there's the reflection. And so the young lion sees that his face matches the other face, and he gets it, yes? And so the old lion looks at him and goes, roar. And so the young lion doesn't have to take 8 weeks of roaring classes, yes? It doesn't have to, go to a retreat or a seminar. It has a natural inclination to roar. It just never tapped into it. So it immediately roars, yeah? So it woke up. So here's the lion got it, yeah? Bimbo. It's a lion. It's now roaring. It probably realizes it can chew those sheep, you know what I mean? Forget the sweater. It's going to, Let's say the sheep, they don't meet a lion, but they get a feeling they'd like to be like a lion, yeah? They've run into an old book about how courageous lions are, and they're the king of the jungle, and the sheep obviously believing they're not too courageous and not too much is going on with them. They'd like to be a lion with the hopes that it would make them have a greater advantage as a sheep, if I could be more like a lion. So then they start reading a book about being a lion. And then they meet some other sheep that are disgruntled, and they get together and go, let's share, we could roar instead of putting up with this. And next time that guy's going to shear me, we can jump him and stuff. So all these things are starting to be entertained. And so they find a picture of a lion, and then they get put it in a frame and get candles and lilies, and they start worshiping the lion, and then having roaring classes, I think this is how it sounds like, ba, ba, It's getting to sound like a roar there, ba, ba, and then suddenly, and so it seems very noble to some other sheep. They go, it's nice, these sheep are wanting to have a spiritual awakening, they want to realize they're a lion. But the fact is, this is the problem. So here you are given a message, hey, you're a lion, or there's just lionness, let's say. But what happens is when that message is heard by a sheep, the sheep ears, it's like, you're a lion, 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 you're a lion. You can become like a lion. That's right. Not the message. Yeah?
Something just changed that last second.
Exactly. So then you go and you hear the message again, you're a lion, you're a lion. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm a lion. You hear it, but as soon as it turns into your voice, I can become like a lion. That's not the message. And so the dilemma is, if it seems very noble for a sheep to want to become like a lion, but in fact, if you're a lion, you're missing the whole point, yeah? obviously.
Yeah.
So to try to practice to be a lion is actually reinforcing the belief that you're a sheep.
That's right. That's
And
right.
sometimes people, to have that constant reinforcements of being a sheep, you're going to have a long, long path here. Long, long spiritual path. Some will say it's going to be lifetimes. Because obviously what's being reinforced is a lie. So you have to practice a whole lot.
A whole lot of effort.
That you believe you're trying to get out of something to actually reinforce the belief you're in it. It doesn't take any effort whatsoever to, you know, in the waking, whatever. It's nothing. There's absolutely no thought or effort on our part, like it says in our book. You'll be placed in a position of neutrality. Yeah.
So let's sort of circle back. You started with a comment about self-centeredness being the core issue of addiction, and addiction extending way beyond alcohol and drugs and into everything, chasing women, chasing cars, chasing careers, chasing food, chasing. I'm incomplete, I'm trying to complete myself with objects, and it comes from this feeling of being self-centered. And now we have the other image of the lion, okay? What would you say to someone who was coming in, let's say, and trying to work on recovery, who were still in this?
Well, then I would, for me, I would
self-centered position.
To tell you the truth, for me, I would have them get their externals down, because in this external world, if they're invested in that action will reinforce thought. You know, if a good action or whatever, a clear or a working action will start correcting your thinking. You can't, yes, you can't correct your actions with thinking, but you can correct your thinking with actions here, because it's a dualistic situation, yes? So most of us in addiction, the thinking is really a main dilemma. So you use the opposite of that, which is action, and then it becomes an antidote to the opposite, yeah? So the action will actually correct the thinking. We're trying to correct our actions by our thinking, which reinforces the dilemma.
Right.
So I would say in the beginning, you know, it's like in the beginning, your houses are on fire. So they don't need to entertain there's no fire and no house. What you need to do is give them a pail of water.
Right.
Yes, to me, it's a pail of water. So that's what I do. And it's different for every person, you know, you feel it out.